Welcome to The View on Data, a monthly roundtable podcast where women in data share unfiltered stories, career lessons, and real talk about what it takes to thrive in the world of data and tech. Welcome back to The View on Data, folks. Thanks for coming to join us for a new episode. My name is Faith McKenna. I'm joined today by Rick and Jerrie. Rick and Jerrie, would you like to give yourselves a brief intro if this is somebody's first episode?
Yeah, I'll jump in. I'm Jerrie, Senior Resident Architect here at DBT, and I always enjoy talking all things data and people.
Hi, I'm Erica or Rick. I'm a Senior Manager for Data Analytics and BI, previously the head of data, and I'm really passionate about management, real management as people, and also everything around AE and workflows and swim lanes and processes.
Amazing. And I'm Faith. I'm a lead technical instructor here at DBT. And for our episode, this is our New Year episode. So we're going to be talking a little bit about our ins and outs for the year. If this isn't a practice that you have at home, I can't recommend it enough. As a Capricorn, very goal-oriented human, I find myself setting very numerical goals for the year. I'm going to hit this amount in my 401k. I'm going to lift this heavy. Nothing wrong with that kind of goal, but I do find for me personally, kind of sucks the joy out of things a little bit. And it's helpful to have a ins versus outs list of how do you want the vibe of your year to be? So we thought it would be fun to bring the ins and outs concept to a View on Data episode, but make it about work instead. So I'll open it up to Rick and Jerrie. What is in for you all this year in your data jobs?
I can jump in, Rick, and then I'll hand it to you. What is in? Simplifying everything that I can and using the tools available to me to simplify how I operate. And so it's simplify/amplify, right? But really, I use the word simplify because it's very easy to over-engineer, overthink, overcomplicate, especially with AI tools that give you so much information. But I'm using everything to simplify how I communicate, how I get to solutions, how I iterate, and making sure I get unstuck. So that's my big one this year.
Gosh, Jerrie, that resonates with me so much. Yay! I think that we're also at a point where a lot of folks who have been using their DBT projects have such nested big models that we're you learn a lot more. And I'm saying this speaking from experience of our current DBT models. And so I'm thinking about simplification and removing the bloat, but strong documentation. I would
Yes.
I would rather you do less complexity at the trade-off of having better documentation, especially with let's just talk about the elephant in the room of AI and the MCP and the more that we're seeing the way that things are going, clean metadata is just so key, and especially about the scaling of your projects. And that has been my big thing is really good documentation, but not overly good documentation in your DBT project, but simplify documentation in your work resources.
Oh, I like that. People underestimate the power of simplifying. It's hard work, but it's so worth it. Everyone should understand what's happening.
It's how does this fit into the bigger framework? And that's my other thing for the ins is just frameworks. And it's I think a lot of folks will kind of spin off of we're trying to fix this one thing and this is an issue, but then they go off and then they continue doing this thing when this other area that is related has already kind of developed. And so it's how do you actually fit this into this greater business framework? And if you're doing this thing over and over, maybe, and this is a repetitive process, whether it is a product launch, whether it is how does something go from a request to then now being in your BI tool. It's what does that framework look like?
I love both of these. Frameworks can help you simplify your work in a big way. Do either of you have examples of something that maybe you have like removed from documentation on your side, Rick, or maybe things that you have taken out of your workflow, Jerrie, to kind of decomplicate it?
I like that. Go ahead. I'm thinking.
Okay. I'm really passionate about this. So the main thing that I think about that is really hitting home here is like this process framework that we had in terms of the way that like our data team did work, where it was like analytics works in like this Kanban framework, but then we have like this AE data platform and they work in more like sprints. And I'm like, we're just creating two separate workflows. And I think maybe that works a lot for a lot of folks. But when our team just works so closely together, I'm like, let's just have all be on the same working framework. And then that way it allows us to then say, hey, if we're going to like, you know, launch this thing together, this just fits into this. And it's a simplified structure. And we're going to remove all this bloat from projects. It's like you're spending more time documenting projects, which is good in a lot of ways, but like you're not using it as this tool to speak the same language. The other thing too is just like for key business metrics, I'm like, I just like wanted to redo all of our revenue modeling and just simplify it and just take away all of this random fucking int models, like intermediate models. And I'm like, no, this is how it flows. Look how simplified it is. Yeah.
I'm curious though, Faith, tell us your ins.
Yeah, I painted like an ins and outs list in my journal this year at like a manifesting session.
I like it.
With my friends on New Year's Day. And I think for work, as your resident learning professional on the call, I think learning is gossip is in. And it's something I've been thinking about a lot. Shout out to one of my work homies from my last job, Patrick. He gave this presentation during a data team lunch and learn, because at my last job, we realized perhaps maybe a year in that the data team was doing all this cool stuff behind the scenes and kind of nobody knew what we were up to. Common issue in many data teams, right? And so part of how my boss chose to address it was to assign each of us on the team a lunch and learn that we gave to the whole company. This is at a Series B startup, so, you know, if this is something you want to steal, consider your scale. For us, that was only like 60 people that we had to get in a room. And the lunch and learn that my buddy Patrick gave at the very beginning of his presentation, he said, learning is so boring unless it's gossip. Teachers should be like, oh my God, have you heard about the Pythagorean theorem? And I thought it was a really funny meme. And it's also something that's really stuck with me as I've created a bunch of courses over my time at DBT. And I just released one on Fusion. And the whole time I was like, how can I make this like gossip? Like, how can I infuse an amount of emotion into these courses that makes sense, maintains professionalism and clear communication, but also draws learners in a little bit more of a relatable way? Because this is so specific, I know, but I am so tired of Udemy courses that are like some dude droning into a microphone in the same tone of voice. And I'm like, do you even like what you do? Like, can you I'm sure you're a big nerd about Docker containers. Like, what should I be excited about with Docker containers? So that's something I've been thinking about a lot with respect to the Fusion course in particular, which just came out, and trying to like get the emotion and the gossip in there. Because I personally only keep up with the industry because it reads like entertainment gossip to me. And it like keeps me engaged. You know what I mean?
I know. I feel like, and yeah, because you're trying to see the energy. Like, it makes me think of, you know how you had asked me one thing that I've simplified? It kind of leans with this idea of make it fun again. So I spent all this time, you know, you're trying to solve people's problems. And I really enjoy it when I'm like talking to someone about a problem. And then I'm like trying to explain how to approach it, how I would approach it, all the things to consider. And it's hard as a resident architect to then codify that sometimes, like write those notes in the way that you have the solution in your head, right? And so what I've been doing, and I've told as many people as I can, is I go to ChatGPT and narrate. I'm like having a
Yes.
conversation. That's been one of my biggest ones where it's like, I know exactly how I want to solve this. I know what I want, how I'm thinking about it. And I turn it into a conversation for me. And I tell it to organize basically all these thoughts that I have, these scattered thoughts based on what I've shared. And so it's like me having a solo convo, really, but I'm like having fun with it. There's energy, and I just go, and it's no more than 5 minutes. And all of a sudden, I have a game plan. Your frameworks, Erica, Rick, I have like the framework all of a sudden of like, this is how I do it to make it fun again, but also have something tangible that I can build from. And so it's simplified some of those like moments where I get stuck of like, there's so much I want to capture here, but it's so much easier if I was talking to a friend or talking to a colleague. And that's a huge hack. I'm like, ever since I've like discovered that, I'm just like, oh, big part of my toolbox personally. Cause I'm just like, yeah, if I was talking to Faith or Rick about this, I'll just say this. And why not talk to ChatGPT and help me like organize those thoughts? And then I can build something from there.
Oh yeah. I ChatGPT and just like talking to it or like using Claude or whatever just to like do like that initial document writing. Like, and I say like initial because some people just do a copy pasta and I'm like,
no,
no,
hard pass.
That's let's talk about that out. But I think that it's like making work fun again. And I know that it's like work is work and like obviously that's a role, but it's like I feel like people have the separation of like work, you are professional and it is strict business jargon, but that's like not how you engage people. And that's actually something that I talked to Brandon, who is the data platform manager, and I was like, we need to bring back more fun. Like we need like our pull requests, like review comments were so unhinged where it would be like memes and it'd be like YouTube links and just to say like, I approve this message.
Yes.
Yeah. I like that basically make work fun again. Like how you engage with it. I love this whole like the teaching, make it gossip, make it like fun, it's true. You're just like, you're trying to re-energize yourself with the work. You have to do it, right? The things you're solving, you're trying to be productive and efficient, but you got to infuse some energy when you can. And so I like that.
I love that as energy for the new year too. Just make work fun again. It's not that serious. And to quote Joel on the DX team, he told me once, if we're not having fun with our enterprise software, what are we doing? And I love that energy so much. Let's take that and kind of roll it into our outs for the year. What is out for you all coming into 2026? Not the giggle.
Let's see. From a work perspective, I will say what is out is just the opposite of what I said is in. Over engineering. I spend so much time looking at DBT projects that are over engineered, and AI makes it worse because if you don't know what you're doing, you go and something that could have been a one-liner is all of a sudden some crazy subquery or some, and you're just like, what is this? So out with over engineering, okay? AI is not going to give you the 100% solution. You already said it. We all know it. It gets you 60%, 70% there. But yes, too much overcomplication of everything and how we present things and how we find solutions and how we write these crazy custom macros because it's so cool or this brand new thing. I'm like, actually, it's not, unless it's absolutely necessary. I'm going to ask you why. And I think it's okay to go simple. I don't think we need to, just because we have access now to all these amazing tools, that it does not mean you need to over engineer every single part of your setup, especially from a data perspective. So that needs to be out.
Preach. Be gone over engineering.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's like, I'm sorry to say this, and I come from so much love as like an AE at heart, but like whatever you think is perfect is not going to be perfect in 6 months. the only thing that is going to be important are like the main nouns or entities that your company cares about, and using that as a single source of truth and the different cuts they want to look at with that. And so I think that anything that stems beyond that, where it's like, if you're making this model and there are like 5 intermediate tables to get to the final model, like there's something happening here and you got to figure that out. But I also think like adding more complexity where it doesn't need to be. And that's where I see a lot of like, again, I use Claude a lot for doc writing, but I just hate it when people use it to just write the docs when it's like, no, I need you to know like what convictions you have. And I can just tell that you're not really thinking about this problem, what this is serving. You're just generating more shit that like no one needs. And it's just messing up our AI for Notion AI. So it's like, use it as a tool, but also like don't use it as like to replace your thoughts.
Yeah, there's some real wisdom in that. I hope that like, you know, this is perhaps like a concept or a topic for a future episode, but I have a lot of hope that 2026 will see a lot more treatment of AI usage as a skill that we can all develop, and that there will maybe be more like best practices than currently exist. And what you just said, Rick, is like, don't let your AI generated documentation replace your conviction about what you do, and infuse that in there after you get your first draft. Because we all love the first draft after we're just talking to Claude or ChatGPT or whoever it is.
Yeah.
Faith, I'm curious. Tell us what's out, but like, Faith, what is out? But can you put it in a tone that is gossipy?
Yeah.
Oh my God. You guys need to hear this, okay? You'll never believe. But you know what is out this year is saying that's too technical for me. We're not saying it. We're not saying it. We are leaving that behind because nothing is too technical for the human brain. We can all understand stuff. It just takes a few tries. And I say this from personal experience, getting staffed on creating learning content for Fusion. DBT's new engine, very exciting. And also something where if you feel like me, sometimes you're like, oh God, no, I can't learn that new thing. I'm actually not that technical. Because my background is primarily in education. And while I have like experience as an analyst, I didn't get a computer science degree. I didn't, I got like a boot camp situation. My degree is in biology. And so I don't fundamentally feel like a very technical human. I am. My job is highly technical, but I don't feel that way. And so it is out this year saying that's too technical for me. Because if I can get things down to their very brass tacks and figure out how something works enough to write a course, then frickin' anybody can do it. Because I like to go home and play Zelda and watch reality TV. Like, I do not consider myself a very highfalutin individual. And so like I'm leaving that. That's out. That's too technical for me. That's out.
Yep. There's no such thing. I'm a firm believer. Yes. You don't need to know the right term. Okay, I'm that person. I'm like, but if you know how to, you can explain things in plain English. You understand the concepts or what you envision it to, like what you think it could do. I mean, you're already thinking the right way. There's a lot of like more around how we problem solve. I agree with that big time. A lot of people are scared of this arena as well, just because of this idea of like, I need to know how to speak. I need to know exactly what things mean when they say this, or how to, like look the part. And you're like,
Yeah.
No, you actually don't. But do you think the right way? Do you know how to ask questions? Do you like to solve problems and have fun with it? Yes. Then, yes.
Yeah, it's almost like, who is that serving besides the people that you don't want to serve anyway, you know? Where it's like, I'm never going to be the person where it's like, what do you mean that you don't know really all the differences between Fusion and like standard DBT? and like the difference of like mantle versus core. That's crazy. Could you imagine someone saying that? It's, I don't know. And then if someone ever retorts back like that, then it's like, you have some other things going on.
Yeah.
And I think like I have to put that as out for myself specifically because I love to be online. I love to see what's going on in the data industry. And that does mean that I find circles that like I don't really want to be in anyways, but they're there. And it's hard to not let them affect me sometimes, which is of early adopters, highly technical humans who get like very excited about like each new wave of AI tooling. And you know what? Good for them. But like it can be a little hard to be around that kind of circle and not feel like you're perpetually behind and be like, well, I kind of understand the basics of what an MCP server does. But if you ask me to use one, I would ask ChatGPT and I would feel it out and go ask somebody who knew more than me and be like, does this seem right? Is this doing what it's supposed to? Because like, I do not feel caught up in the data industry, like pretty much ever. and so like saying that's too technical for me is out means I can learn anything. I just might be a little bit slower at it than other people, and that's fine because I got there in the end. And I think that's like what I'm hoping. I've been thinking a lot about fusion stuff, and I'm hoping that's what people will get is that like it's going to be there and it's DBT's future. And even if you didn't join that first wave of early adopters, you can still join now. In fact, now's probably a better time to get onto Fusion. Not to turn this into a Fusion ad, but that's what's relevant to my work right now.
God, if you just got into DBT and then you're just starting up on Fusion, like I'm so envious.
Oh my God.
Just starting off in the best version. Honestly, yeah, what's out is feeling like you can't say I don't know or like, hey, this is confusing me. I think that like we're at this point of our like work general culture where you can say that and people like that more than you just going off and pretending like you know something that you don't.
Yeah, I echo that big time. You know, it's humbling being in the kind of role that being a resident architect where people think you're a walking encyclopedia of DBT. You know a lot, but you will never know all. And so exactly what you said, Rick, being able to say, I don't know, but I know how to find the answer, is so important. It's so important because it's not just as an RA, but it's like in so many of our roles, being able to say in that moment, giving yourself space basically and permission to take the time to like learn and discover and have fun with work again, because you don't need to know the answer right there and then, but more just like, I don't know, but I'll go find out, or I don't know, and maybe we'll discover together, so yeah, that's a big one.
And I think that's probably what most people mean when they say they value curiosity in a human. It's not just I'm hungry for new knowledge, but also I'm aware of the boundaries of my own knowledge and where I can push out a little bit more.
Yeah. I like it. Good ins and outs.
Yes. Wow. Well, listeners, comment on our episode with your ins and outs for the year. We would love to hear them. Thanks for joining us on an abbreviated but punchy episode of The View on Data, and share this with somebody who needs to let other people know what is in this year and what is out this year.
The View on Data is sponsored by DBT Labs, produced by Katie Chubb, edited by Jeff Fox, and created by Balaji Oyejide. If you enjoyed the show, leave us a 5-star review or share with a friend. Thanks for listening.